We are live. Yay!
Yeah.
Right, what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to record. So just going to pop record on this one. Awesome. So welcome everyone. I'm recording this, so depending on what we say and if we're both happy with it, I might post it somewhere else, Emma, with your permission. So if someone's catching up on this on YouTube or outside, but we're streaming live into the Divine Body Lounge today, 17th of February, with the gorgeous Emma Dyson. Welcome, Emma.
Hi.
So excited. So before we get stuck in today, I just want to let everyone know the reason why I've invited Emma to come and speak today is not only are we going through super unusual times right now, I think this whole issue, we'll get stuck into it in a minute, but this whole issue of self-care is much bigger picture than just running yourself a hot bath and having a bubble bath, putting on some relaxing music. Like, that's just so over that, right? So over that self-care thing. So this is like juicy, deeper self-care that we're going to get into today, right? Like, go a little bit deeper. And I think especially the reason I wanted to do it, not only because I'm currently working with Emma, she's my gorgeous client, she's in week 8 of her body transformation and doing amazing, but because right now in the UK we've got stuff closed. I'm a bit of a spa girl. I love spas, I love saunas, I love massage, I love all this stuff. I love going out for drinks and dinner and doing all these things that I could kind of treat myself to and pamper myself with, and now I can't. Like, we're stuck at home effectively. We're kind of limited as to what we can do. So I thought it'd be a really great time for us to come in and show some alternative ways of looking after ourselves, right? So that's what I want from today. So I'm really excited. Emma, I'll let you introduce yourself and what you do, but this is going to be focused on Emma's business, which is crystals.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. It's awesome to be here. So as Sarah says, my name is Emma Louise Dyson, and I have a business which is a crystal business. A little bit about my background. I've always been a bit of a self-proclaimed nature nerd, and I've always been obsessed with nature. And it was a trip, our school trip to a museum, where I discovered a piece of pyrite, and I was just blown away that kind of nature could create something that was so sparkly and gold and just unusual. And that's really where my passion kind of stemmed from. My background, I actually worked all over the world. I represented brands such as Cartier, David Yurman, Mont Blanc, all over the world. And when I moved back to the UK, I was living in Colorado for 7 years, and I moved back to the UK in 2012, and I started working in TV, and I was selling gemstones and jewelry and presenting on TV. And then lots of different things happened. We're talking about self-care today, and I really started to realize my worth, and I was kind of tired of making lots of money for other people and not really being appreciated for what I did. And so I decided to start my own business. So as well as studying with the Gemological Institute of America, so that's all the kind of the science side of crystals, I qualified as a crystal therapist, and now I really love the kind of crossover between the science and the metaphysics. I think it's really fascinating. And and then started Rock Chic, which is my business, which is all about presenting Mother Nature's treasures with passion. I didn't just want to be another crystal business. I didn't just want to be in this to make money. I'm really passionate about educating people and sharing my knowledge with people, and sharing this fascination that I discovered when I started learning more and more about different crystals, and passing that on. So that's what the business is all about.
Awesome. I love it. And I'm personally so excited about this because I got into crystals when I was a teenager, and I was just talking to my mum about it because I was staying at my mum's this week, and we were saying there was one shop that used to sell crystals. We lived in High Wycombe, out in Buckinghamshire, and we used to have to travel to St Albans, where there was this really lovely little quirky crystal shop, and I used to go there, and I didn't really know what I was doing. Obviously, like back in the 90s, we didn't have Google, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have but I was just drawn to them like you. I was just drawn to like, this is a super, it's just mind-blowing thing that I can't believe has just come out of the ground or is just all around us. And I was so drawn to that. And I used to read all the kind of witchy things, and I was into spiritual stuff, and but I had, honestly, I had like no idea really what I was doing, and there was nowhere to go and find out. And or you'd have to get an encyclopedia or a book and go through the pages. So really interested in what you're saying about helping people understand it as well, rather than just selling the crystals.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much information, and there's so many, it can get quite confusing because crystal healing and energies from crystals is really quite subjective. People have different experiences with the crystals to other people, and then there's also a lot of people that are copy and pasting stuff because they've got started a business and they don't really care and they don't really know. So when you go online, it can be quite confusing to really get the information that you need, because there is so much information out there, and because people do have different experiences with crystals. So yeah, it's interesting, and the learning process is fascinating, and there are some really good resources, there's some really great books, and there's some amazing people out there that have been doing this for a long time now. But yeah, like you say, back in the 90s, but intuitively, like, you're drawn to something and you don't always need to know why. And I think that is so important when it comes, people get so hung up on, should I use this crystal or work with this crystal, or, you know, what about this and that? Oh, I really like this one, but somebody said I should work with this one. If you're drawn to something intuitively, instinctually, yeah, it's so powerful, and that really speaks volumes more than anything else.
Yeah, I love it. So going into like your truth, into your body, and just feeling like I don't know why, but I'm drawn to that, and I want it, I'm having it, it needs to be with me.
Yeah.
So right, where in terms of self-care, right? So I said the whole self-care thing of pampering and like, that's nice. I'm not talking bad about that, right? It's nice and I like it. But you and I as well, since we've been working together over the last couple of months, we've gone into like, self-care is more than that, isn't it? Like, self-care isn't what you do when you're right at the end of your tether and you're exploding at your partner or your kids and you're stressed out, or you know, come out in spots, whatever, like things that happen to me when I'm stressed. It's a daily choice. So how you're treating yourself, your care of yourself, is like a daily choice. So in terms of crystals and self-care and daily habits, what can people do? Like, I have a few I carry around, I have some I have next to my bed, but other than that, I don't really know what should a person be doing with them? How should they be using them?
Well, there's so many ways that you can work with crystals for various different challenges that you might be having in your life. But in kind of day-to-day activity, I always think what's really lovely is, you talk about carrying them. If you've got a lot of crystals, having just a bowl, not that we're going out much, but having just a bowl by the front door and just putting your hand in and just grabbing whatever comes up for that day, and working with that crystal and carrying that crystal, shoving it in your bra, whatever you might want to do with that, I think is really awesome. But there's ways that we can actually put crystals around our home. We can place different crystals around our home that can really benefit us on a day-to-day basis. So for example, if you are working a lot at a computer, one thing that we are exposed to every single day from all the electronic devices that are around us, and you know, all the different things that are going on at the moment with 5G and all these kinds of things, one, that there's a lot of electromagnetic smog, EMF, which is bombarding us. And I know you've probably done a lot of research on this yourself, but there are real negative impacts on the body on a physical level, but also in terms of concentration, in terms of just feeling icky within ourselves. And so there are a few crystals that we can actually place strategically around our home that can really help to really disperse and dispel this negative energy which comes from computers and Wi-Fi router, and if we have a smart meter, people keep asking me to get a smart meter. I'm like, no.
Oh.
No. They're persistent though. They're very persistent. So
they are.
And
that's amazing. What are they? What are they?
Okay. So it's really interesting. A lot of them are black crystals. So most black crystals have this ability to disperse negative energy. And my favorite for electromagnetic frequencies is a crystal called shungite. And shungite comes from one location in Russia, and it's a fascinating crystal. There is science behind the way that this crystal works, and they have actually done studies where they've in Russia, there were a group of children that were in a very traumatic situation. There was a mass massacre, and these children were just not speaking. There's been this terrible massacre in their school. All these people were killed as a gunman came into the school, and they were really traumatized children. And they had a room, and they filled the walls of the room with shungite, and they put half of the children in the one room and half in the other to kind of go through the counseling process with these kids. And the children that were in the room with the shungite started to speak. They started to open up. They started to have a more positive experience. All the other factors were exactly the same in both rooms. So there's lots of science within this, same with kind of the army and the soldiers. There's a lot I could go into there, won't go into everything right now. But a way that you can do this is by placing shungite. I have one on the back of my phone. So I keep a shungite, it's just a disc of shungite on the back of my phone, and that disperses and dispels the negative ions that come from, not the negative ions, but the negative energy that comes from the mobile phones. You can put them on different devices. So that's a great crystal. Another one would be tourmaline. And black tourmaline is always on computers in my house. And black tourmaline has this ability to transmute. So what that means is it draws in negative energy and it transmutes it into positive energy. And so scientifically with black tourmaline, if you give it lots of friction and pressure, it becomes magnetic, and so it will actually draw in particles from one side and push them out just like a magnet would. And if you put little bits of paper, it charges, you can actually see it sucks in the paper on one side and then pushes the paper away on the other side, which is amazing. And that's what it does with electromagnetic energy. So it draws that electromagnetic energy in, and it then releases that electromagnetic energy in a positive form.
Love it. I love it. And this EMF thing is such a huge, when we're spending so much more time at home on our devices. I've seen those little dot things you can stick on the phone, and I always wondered how they worked. I was thinking, well, what is it and how is it working? So it's shungite. Is that the one that you can put in water as well and make shungite water?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you can purify your water. You can, there's so much, it has so many different benefits, but yeah, you can make shungite water. There's lots of gemstones that you can put into water and drink as a gemstone elixir, but there's also lots of gemstones that become toxic in water, or even dissolve in water. So it's really important that you know what you're doing before you kind of put anything in water. But shungite, absolutely. I have a mouse mat as well for my wrist. So when I'm working, it sits on a shungite mouse mat as well.
Love it. And if you got some shungite or some tourmaline and you had that at home,
yeah,
can you just place it around? Do you have to take care of it or do something with it? How does it get rid of the negative energy or transmute it? Does it?
Okay, that's a great question. So crystals like shungite and tourmaline, I always recommend those because they're kind of like, I don't know, they're like the spider plant of the plants, right? You don't really...
Easy care. Yeah. Sounds like my kind of crystal.
Yeah, you don't have to do a great deal with them. Black obsidian, for example, another great crystal for protecting against negative energy, but black obsidian stores that negative energy. It doesn't transmute the negative energy. And so what can happen is black obsidian after time can crack and shatter and just break because just like us, when we store up so much crap within us and we don't let it go and we don't let it out, we go to that stage where we break and we crack and we, you know, have a negative experience. And the same thing with black obsidian. So with regards to black obsidian, that does need kind of cleansing quite regularly, and you can cleanse just by placing in some Himalayan salt. We all know the benefits of Himalayan salt with ourselves and our own bodies and how it draws out impurities, and it's the same thing, it works with the crystals in that way. You can cleanse by running underwater. I would always recommend a stream or something, or down on the beach would be really, really lovely. And other ways you can cleanse with sound, so vibrational energy, which is really powerful. So sound, you can do the same in your home as well. So if your home's feeling a bit kind of, the energy's a bit stagnant, you can just go around like clapping, and that's actually going to shift some of the energy and start to move things up around your home. So and then also sacred herbs as well, so things like sage, palo santo, incense, different incenses, different diffusing of different essential oils. Again, these are all ways that you can cleanse your crystals. There's a lot of information online about that, and it's pretty accurate. It's just things, again, don't put certain crystals under water and things like that, so it's just knowing which crystals to do that with.
Yeah, be careful. It's useful to know. So in terms of other things that people are going through emotionally right now, like, I love what you said, because I didn't know that. And I was at a business meeting a couple of years ago, where there was crystals in boxes as a gift, and we just kind of, you know, chose the one in the box. It was just from the box, so you don't know what you're getting. And I chose a smoky quartz, or there was some, and I remember thinking like, oh, that feels a bit, because if I was in a shop choosing, I'd go for the things that I like I'd choose a pink one, like the rose quartz, and stuff that I thought was kind of really pretty and sparkly looking. So when I got this sort of black grey one, and it was about, you know, it's really good for dispelling sort of negative energies, and it was a surprise, you know, because it was like, oh, I'm just looking at this kind of smoky black piece of rock. You wouldn't think, it wouldn't have been something I would have assumed. So like, that makes total sense though, that the black ones are going to be the ones that are, and they almost sound quite transformative as well, if they're taking something and turning it into something else. Yeah. It sounds really powerful. But what would you say? So I love transformation. Like, you know, I think we're quite similar with our love of nature. Like, I love watching seeds grow, flowers grow, trees. What's the most powerful transformational crystal? So if someone was wanting to transform themselves, what would be a good one for that?
Oh my gosh, I mean, it depends on what the transformation is. I mean, there's so many different crystals for different things that you want to transform in your life, right?
Let's go for a body one then. Let's throw that in there. Let's say, so especially for the women in this group, right, who are watching it live in the group, body stuff. Like, if you're looking to have a physical transformation, you've got to get, we've talked about this a lot, haven't we? You've got to like physically get rid of the fat. Your body's got to do something with it. It's got to melt it. There's an energy exchange of the fat's got to be converted into energy that has to get out of your body somehow, which people don't think about, right? So the fat has got to get out. You don't pee it out, you know, but the fat has got to get out of your body. So a crystal that would help with, like, I'm thinking, what would be a crystal that would be great for like getting stuff out of the body, releasing fat, releasing toxins, like dispelling that? Would that be one of those black ones that you mentioned would be good for that as well?
It would, but there's others too. So like, and there's crystals that can help with metabolism as well, which is brilliant when it comes to weight management, right? So bloodstone, for example, this is a bloodstone thumbstone, really lovely kind of tactile thing to have just in your pocket. And just going off topic super quick, I love thumb stones in my pocket because I'm big on gratitude, and I use them as gratitude stones. So I have one in my pocket, and then every time I touch it, I have a look around and it reminds me of something to be grateful for, like what am I grateful for right now. But that was totally off topic. But bloodstone is really helpful for elevating metabolism, right? And it also really stimulates detoxification, which is huge when we are, you know, going through this weight loss journey. We want to kind of, I'm doing things right now, right? I'm upping my protein and I'm upping my workout. And so this is a crystal that could really, you could work with this crystal in terms of boosting your metabolism and also kind of detoxifying the body as well. There's also crystals that can really help in terms of like hunger and suppressing appetite. I don't tend to have this challenge, but I know a lot of people do. And so blue apatite is really useful. This is probably, and it's called apatite.
It's called apatite.
Yeah. It's not spelled the same. It's APATIT. But
can you put it a bit closer, Emma?
Oh, sorry, darling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
it's gorgeous.
It's a beautiful colour. Excuse my lockdown nails. So it's just beautiful. So yeah, it's got this neon blue colour. And what's fascinating about blue apatite as well, it is formed from phosphorus. And so we have phosphorus in our teeth. And it's believed that a lot of blue apatite that actually is formed could have formed from the dinosaurs and from dinosaur bone and from dinosaur teeth, and actually be kind of a reincarnation of dinosaur, which is quite cool.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, so it has this amazing ability to help us to break away from kind of negative cycles. It can help with kind of emotional stability as well as boosting appetite control as well. So really really powerful. But when you combine it with amethyst, it can really help with food cravings. So
I love amethyst.
Together can really help with controlling your appetite. And also anybody who has any kind of maybe addictive eating disorders as well, this is a really great combination.
Wow. Love it. I'm going to come back and I'm not going to take notes now. I'll come back and watch it and then write it all down if I can't remember the names of the stuff that you said. Do you know, I was listening to this astrologer the other day talking about like the next 10 years or so, or like, well, now it's like the next 8 or 9 years. And they said that we're expecting there to be a huge shift. Like we know we're already in a shift, right? But they're expecting to see a huge shift in 2030 that will see the majority of mainstream people, mainstream thinking will go very spiritual. And I know from my side, I mean, a lot of the time, I think I come across really mainstream, and I have spent a lot of my life kind of like, maybe I look mainstream, but I've always felt very alternative. I've always felt that I like alternative things. I'm interested in woo-woo, and I'm interested in the science of it and how it works. And also, if it just works, it works. Like I made peace with that, I'd say about 5 or 6 years ago. It took me a long time, but I made peace with the fact if something works, it works. And if it's not harmful, then just accept that it works and don't keep trying to rationalize with the mind why it works. But yeah, this astrologer was talking about in 2030, spirituality will be mainstream. And I definitely feel some of that, right? As a business owner involved in what's more than just like calories and protein and stuff like that. It's like the spiritual side. Yeah. Like for you it's a bit of a naff term, but as a spiritual business owner or a spiritual entrepreneur, like what do you see? Have you seen any trends changing? And like I'd just be interested to get your ideas, because I know some of the women watching this are business owners as well and might be like working in their own businesses or want to have their own business. Are there trends? What trends, like, if you're happy to talk about that?
There's a huge shift. And you know what, you only have to look, and I'm going to use this as an example because I think this is brilliant. So I think we've spoken about this as well. You see like adverts come up on social media and like clothing and things. Now there's all of these like celestial prints, there's all of these like moons and crystals, flared trousers, you know,
tie-dye,
chunky boots. I'm like, oh my gosh, like finally in like 40 years I'm trendy, right? I'm on trend. So there is, and it's, we're seeing it more mainstream now. There's been a huge shift in people. I have a friend who is really, you know, she's, you know, mows the lawn on a Friday and washes the car on a Saturday, and she's like, she always just wanted to be a mom and to very much meat and 2 veg every day, and like she's we like chalk and cheese. And she reached out to me last week and was like, oh, I want to get a sleep bundle for my mom with some crystals to help her with sleep. And then I was like, wow, this is amazing. But in terms of like business, the hustle's dead. I'm just gonna say the hustle is dead. I started my own businesses and I've had various different businesses. I was involved in network marketing, affiliate marketing, lots of different things, and had been doing this for almost 10 years. And I worked for myself when I worked all over the world as well. So but it was like hustle. It's like you work and then you sacrifice today so that you can have this freedom tomorrow. And it was just like work and do what other people won't so you can have what other people don't have. And just all of this, I see things that I shared on social media like 4 or 5 years ago, and it like physically makes me feel sick. And there's just a shift. Like you don't have to work 24 hours a day. You don't have to run yourself down into the ground. You get to pick and choose, and you get to work intuitively. You know, I don't have a to-do list anymore. I have an inspired action list. So I feel like we still, you know, people still, there's the opposite end of the scale as well. Like, oh, it's fine, I'll do nothing all day and I'll still make money. You obviously have to take action, right? The universe, the law of attraction works, but with action. But it is kind of shifting. There's a lot more people are working more intuitively. A lot more people are looking at alternative ways to live their life. You know, I talked about this. I did a live on Monday and we were talking about rose quartz, because I'm talking about self-care in my group as well this month. And we're talking about rose quartz and how the ancient Egyptians would have face masks that they would wear because of its anti-aging properties and its ability to reduce your wrinkles and these kinds of things. And I think this ancient knowledge, you know, a lot of the history that we're taught is not factual. We're taught all of this history as we grow up, and it's not real. And we look at like mythology as being this kind of these myths, right? But actually we're starting to wake up certain parts of our brain, our DNA, and we are now learning what our ancestors knew all of these thousands of years ago. And I'm seeing so many more businesses and so many more people now actually finding their passion and living their passion and their purpose and stepping forward into what it is that they were truly, you know, put on this planet for. And it's just really lovely.
I love that. Being more intuitive. And I think this has been, I saw when you sent me over your bio, right, to put when we were talking about doing this live, and you talked about being interested in the physical side of things, like the metaphysics of the crystals, as well as like the more kind of intuitive or spiritual, like we were talking about the stuff you can't kind of prove, but you know it works.
Yeah.
When you came into this journey with your body, I picked up on this comment the other day, and I know it was like, you know, those little throwaway comments that you're like, oh yes, like that's, and you were like, yeah, I knew, because I was looking at your stuff, Sarah, and I was like, oh, I can drink wine and still lose weight when I'm working with Sarah, right? It's like, oh, there's like these combinations of things that we've done traditionally that seem to be breaking apart now, that seem to be like, so in my industry, yes, at last, in my industry, it was like, you know, you've got to like eat like a bodybuilder or an athlete or do all these things, and you know, and then there was the other end of the scale, which was self-love and the body positivity movement, which said, you know, you be any size and you can be healthy, and be any weight doesn't mean anything. And so I know it's slightly off topic of the crystals, but when you came into this journey of weight loss, and knowing that you have quite a spiritual and deep connection with yourself and your intuition, what was that like for you? Like, how did you know that you needed some help with that? Being a woman that's very connected to herself and her intuition, like, what was the reason for getting help with it?
Because I'd tried, I hate this word, try, sorry, I just want to sit cross-legged. Something else as well, self-care, like moving your position when you're seated. Yeah, I had tried lots of different things, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, maybe I have, maybe I haven't, but I really didn't know who you were. We were friends, we connected on Facebook.
Not for long. Yeah,
we had a mutual friend. I'd sent you a friend request because I liked some of the things that you were sharing and talking about resonated with me, and we were definitely on the same page. And you popped up in my news feed on the beach doing a live talking about people swimming in the sea, and I knew nothing about you. I had done zero research, but what you saying just resonated with me, and I just felt your energy was what I needed right then. And we're very different, and I love working with you because you call me out on my bullshit and you empower me so much, and you let me figure things out for myself. Like, you kind of steer me, and then like, and the ball's always in my court. It's never like you do this, and like it's all, the ball is always in my court, and I always get to make the choices and the decisions on what I want to do to move forward, with some guidance, which is just really incredible. And what you have taught me is invaluable, but what I've really enjoyed about us working together so far is that there are no restrictions. I don't you know, my mom was like, oh, you should go to Slimming World. I always lose weight when I go to Slimming World, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't drink Diet Coke. I just saw this like recipe once, which was like Diet Coke chicken or something. I'm like, oh my gosh, why would you put all of these chemicals in your body? Like, I distill my own water, remineralize my own water, I grow a lot of my own produce. Mm-hmm. I kind of knew what I needed to do to a degree. I just needed the guidance, but I also needed to not have very strict boundaries, or you do this, this, and this. I still get to eat the food that I enjoy, do the things that I enjoy. And what this journey has done for me, which I will forever be grateful, is it has just, talking about self-care. Self-care is one of my core values, and it's a process that we've gone through. And just to be able to expound my core values, and to be able to just add so much more of the nourishing things that I love, and that make me feel better and make me a better person, and to be able to add those to this journey, and what that's done for me. I know that sounds a bit vague, but I don't want to go into everything too much, but it's just been life-changing. It's been absolutely life-changing, and we're not even finished yet. We're not even through, but my gosh, do you know what, like the journey, like if anybody is watching this right now and they're kind of thinking, oh, you know, I'd really like to step it up a gear and take it to the next level, and nothing's worked before. And it's not that nothing's worked, but you don't have that accountability when you on your own, and you don't have the guidance, and you don't have the education or the just knowing what to do when. And so I know it's all a bit vague, but it's been amazing. I'm gonna shut up now.
Amazing, Emma, and you're an amazing client. And I think what I hear is the freedom element, right? Is the feeling free, not feeling bound by rules and restricted, because who likes that? Apparently a lot of people do like that, but not some people don't.
but also the longevity, right? So what, you know, you do one of these like fad diets, or me with my smoothies, right? I'll do a green smoothie cleanse for 10 days, I'll lose 10 pounds. And so there's all of these things that we do, but what I've learned with you so far, and I was saying this to my partner Jason last night, I'm like, man, this is for life, like what I have learned so far. And not that it's like that it, again, there's no restriction, there's no it's not strict or anything like that, but what I've learned after we finished our time together, working together, I can continue this for life. I know exactly the choices and things that I can make, and that I want to make, rather than, I think that is really powerful. I want to do, I want to make these choices and do things a certain way, rather than I have to because I'm on a diet and I have to lose weight. Like, my whole life has changed, honestly. It's amazing.
Being that woman, right? Stepping into that woman. And I think, so going back to the crystals, and what I was thinking about this before we got on this call, is this idea of empowering people. So like, you feel empowered on this weight loss journey that you've been going through. And I was thinking about, you know, because I started out this call, we were talking about spas being closed, and depending on where you live right now, and not being able to see a massage therapist, or I was thinking this has been an amazing opportunity, because and this is a question for people watching this, really just for them to leave them to think about this after they've watched, which is, you know, whose hands has your self-care been in, right? Because it's self-care, but has your self-care been someone else's responsibility? You know, has your self-care been, I need to visit a spa to relax? Has your self-care been, you know, I need a man to take me out and wine and dine me, or I need to, you know, make love, or has your self-care been always outside of yourself?
Wow.
And what I think is opening up for us right now with all this kind of craziness is the opportunity to understand where we can empower ourselves. So, you know, if people want to take responsibility, if people want to, you know, get healthier, care for themselves better, they do need to step it up a little bit, right? We talked a lot about up leveling, and it's such a business, it's such an entrepreneur thing. It's such a like, I'm up leveling in my business and I'm doing, but, you know, up level the way that they care for themselves. And, you know, so I see crystals, for example, they fit into that so well, because they might need guidance from an expert like yourself on what to use and how to use it. But it's really empowering, isn't it? If I can, rather than sitting at home worrying about how my brain, not even just my brain, but my body and my kids' bodies are getting fried by these EMF things in the environment and the Wi-Fi. And believe me, I'm a health freak, so I do freak out about stuff like that regularly. Like, it's empowering that you've just said, you know, you can get this shungite and you can put it around your computer, and I instantly feel lighter when you say that. I feel like, and I can do something about that. Like, I might need to like buy it, whatever, but I can do something about that, and it's my choice, and I can protect myself. So I think people feeling like they can do something right now in such uncertain times when we don't really know where things are going or what's happening, I don't like the word control, I prefer empower, but it's like stepping into the driving seat with that. And I think crystals are amazing for that. And
so much, like on our journey as well, you know, you said initially, like, what was your kind of motivation for actually making a change? And I didn't actually answer that question, but I felt that my body wasn't aligned with everything else that was going on in my life, like how I felt about myself. I've never been like, oh, I'm fat and like I accepted what was. I may not have realized the extremes of it initially, and been a little bit of denial in that sense. But I've always been really confident. I've always, had a level of success within my life. There's so many things that were just leveling up, we'll use that again, in my life, and my mindset and my self-care. Apart, I wasn't taking care of my body, and so it was just my body was out of alignment with everything else that was going on in my life. And what this journey has enabled me to do is to be in a place where I can bring that up to the level of everything else, but that's also expounded like everything else as well. So there's been huge shifts, and it's been absolutely fantastic. But yes, crystals, but there's so many, and so many. You were talking about smoky quartz, right? Smoky quartz, brilliant. I'll just touch on that. Brilliant crystal for grounding. So right now we're bombarded with all of this information. We're bombarded with like things on social media. People have this opinion, there's all this divide. There's just constantly, and a lot of us are living in our head, right? Because we haven't got those distractions. We're not going out, we're not going to the spa, we're not going out for dinner, we're not doing all of these things. We're living in our head a lot of the time. And what smoky quartz can do is, smoky quartz is a brilliant crystal for grounding us, and grounding us into the physical, for grounding us when we just feel like there's a million things going on, and we don't, I don't know if you've ever done this, but you step outside if you're feeling like there's so much going on and you're living in your head, and then you just step outside and it's almost like this kind of sedative, like okay, that's what I needed. And scientifically, we have rubber soles on our shoes, and we never used to have rubber soles on our shoes. And our heart is obviously electrical. We have this electrical pulse within our body, and if you see a telephone, an electric cable outside, all of these different electric cables, there's always a ground. There's one that always goes into the ground. You've got to ground the electricity. And as human beings, we walk around with rubber soles on our shoes, and we're not grounding all of this electricity as well. So another self-care tip, if you're feeling like just go out, I know it's wet and stuff, but just take your shoes and socks off and just go and stand outside and just let your electricity, your energy ground into the earth. And honestly, it's going to really help. But smoky quartz kind of is a crystal that will assist with that as well. So it's a good grounding crystal.
I love that, and this sounds quite embodying as well, like to be in the body. Okay, so before we wrap up, there was a couple of things I wanted to ask you, because I know you do live sales, so people can buy stuff from you on your website, but you do live sales where you show the crystals and talk about them a little bit. And I'm going to come to your one tonight because I want to see what you got. And I want to up my crystal game a bit as well. Something that I always think about, is there any difference? I know it's probably a hard question to answer, but just top level answer.
Sure.
If you have, like, you showed the little thumb one like that, and then sometimes I see people with these massive beautiful pieces, like, do the bigger ones, like, is bigger better, is the question? Like, does size matter?
Well, I so want to go into this, but I'm not going to. No, it doesn't. Okay, so I'll give you an example with a sphere, just really quickly. So a crystal sphere, right? So there's loads over there, but you've got a small crystal sphere, and a crystal sphere, that shape, because different shapes of crystals will emit their energy in different ways. So as you imagine with a sphere, the energy is emitted spherically, right? So however, if you've got a larger sphere, it's going to be able to emit energy through a larger space. So a small sphere in a bedroom is going to be lovely, maybe a howlite or a blue lace agate or something that is very calming and soothing and will help you sleep. However, if you had a massive sphere like this size, then that could, you know, permeate throughout the whole house rather than just being in one room. So yes, large crystals have really intense energy, different energy, but it doesn't matter how big your crystal is. If you're just getting started, and also as well, you don't necessarily have to have crystals that you work with energetically. You can just be drawn to something because it's pretty, and that's okay as well, right? If you just want to put crystals for decoration, then that's fine as well. So there are ways that you can set intentions with your crystals, just like you set your intentions, you know, if you're journaling, or if you're creating a vision board, or if you're, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, working with the law of attraction, we set our intentions. You can do the same with crystals. So you can physically program crystals to assist you and help you with certain situations, with different journeys. And then you can have crystals on display that just look pretty and have a beautiful energy in your home.
Sparkly. Yeah. Any sneak peek of tonight then? So you, for anyone that was watching live, Emma's going to be live 7 o'clock, is it, Emma, tonight?
7 o'clock tonight over on Rock Chic.
I'll pop a link. I'll go in and I'll pop a link in the video.
Thank you. Tonight's a little bit of a mismatch. We had a big amethyst show last week, which was pretty amazing. Tonight we have got, I've got let me show you a fluorite tower coming up.
Okay.
So, because it matches my hair. So we have a gorgeous fluorite tower coming up tonight. So fluorite's amazing for focus. I always have fluorite on my desk because I find that it's easy to get distracted with things, and this is a brilliant crystal for focus and yeah, for productivity and getting stuff done. So that's coming up tonight. We've got
gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
So many things like arrive and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to sell this.
I don't know how you do it.
I know.
That looks gorgeous. So on the live tonight, you'll show people different pieces and then they can buy it live if they want it. And okay.
And we have a laugh, we have a giggle. There's usually something inappropriate. So just be mindful if you're with your kids.
My kids are fine. They're used to it with me. But other people's kids, yeah. So they can find you, and then you've got in the group. Do you help people understand how to use their crystals? And you're a trained therapist as well, aren't you? So. Yeah.
So in the group, we have a theme every month. This month is all about love, with it being Valentine's Day. So on Monday, I did a 101 on rose quartz. So we talked all about rose quartz and the different ways that you can work with rose quartz, a little bit about the history, the science as well. There's some interesting facts. And then last Thursday, I did a masterclass on how to spark your sex life with crystals. So and then this Thursday, tomorrow, it's all about rituals, how you can incorporate crystals into your self-care rituals. So that would be quite interesting off the back of this, actually.
Yeah. So can you pop a link? Can you do a comment on the video of the link to your group? People can join it, right?
It's a free group, and then I teach 2 masterclasses every week, and the community is wonderful, like-minded people. It's a really safe space as well to be able to grow your crystal knowledge, ask questions, just like you've created this space here for people who are going through their weight loss journey. You know, there's no way in a million years I would have allowed anybody to just share pictures of me in a thong. Thank you. But yes, so it's awesome. A safe place to be able to learn, ask questions, and connect with other people. The community is awesome. There's some amazing people in there.
Nice, awesome. Okay, so all the ways to connect with Emma and to be able to get your hands on some of her crystals will pop underneath the video. Is there anything that you're bursting to say, Emma, that I didn't ask you? Anything you want to cover?
No, not really. I've got lots of different crystals here for like self-love and things like that, but I've done a whole live on that, so you can check that out in the group. That was at the beginning of the month. No, that's it really. It's been an absolute pleasure. Oh, I also do a monthly subscription box as well. So if people want to grow their crystal collection and also their knowledge, they get a subscription box every month. And then at the end of the month, I do a live video on how to work with the crystals that are in your subscription box. So as well as getting your goodies, you're getting a masterclass as well. But yeah, that's everything.
Nice. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining me here. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I was just dying to get more information about the crystal stuff and didn't want to use up time in your sessions. So I was like, so thank you personally. And yeah, anyone that is watching this that's left a comment, if we haven't seen it, because I've had another screen open, we will come back and look at your comments. If you've got a question for Emma, anything you want to ask her, then just pop it down here in the comments and we'll come back and look at them. And if I pop this, if this ends up on YouTube or anywhere else, I'll just make sure there'll be a link to Emma's website and how you can get in touch with Emma underneath. So thank you so much, my darling. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you tonight. So I'll be there watching the sale tonight. I might buy myself something, and my mum wants to come on as well. So yeah, I'll see you later.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Right, darling. Lots of love.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye, darling.